Hello, hello, and good morning. Good Monday morning, September the 19th, all of my beautiful intuitive butterflies, and welcome to this week's readings. Today is a particularly special day for me. 14 years ago today, my son was born. Today is his birthday, so I've been playing with my cards today and getting ready for going out and having some adventures with my son today. We will be going out on four-wheelers today, as well as doing some zip lining, which has become a tradition for us. Please excuse the background noise. It's Monday morning in Mexico, in a resort town, and it's rainy season in the jungle, so absolutely everything is overgrown, and this morning while I'm recording my video, they have decided that it's a good idea to clear everything. Okay, I'm gonna have to come back to this. Okay, hopefully. I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. I am not going to restart my presentation today because one of the things that I promised everyone when I first started Intuitive Butterfly is that you will always, always get authenticity from me. You will not get Photoshop. You will not get me doing 5 takes of doing something until it's absolutely perfect. This is who I am. This is what my life is. And I promised that. If you go back to my very, very early blogs, you'll notice, I think it was my second or my third blog that I ever posted. And I posted it from Thailand. And I had on absolutely no makeup. I had been at the beach all day. My hair was stringy from being in the ocean. And this is who I am. So again, I apologize for the background noise today. I can't help it. They're cutting down the jungle today. I do hope that it has subsided enough that we're able to get through it. As I mentioned, today is my son's 14th birthday, so I'm going off to go four-wheeling through the jungle and then zip lining. As I mentioned, zip lining has become a tradition for my son and I since my 50th birthday. I am terrified of heights. I have been most of my life. And when I got up on the morning of my 50th birthday, I decided I was going to overcome that fear. And I went zip lining. We did 13 lines that day. I think I had my eyes closed for the first 12, but I did it. And so later that year, when my son had his birthday, I said, what do you want to do for your birthday? And he said, let's go zip lining, Mom. Let's see if you've actually overcome your fears. And it's a tradition. So enough about me, enough about my life. Let's call in some helpers for today. Let's call in the divine creator of all that is, Mother Earth, angels, spirits, animals. Let's call in the energies of the north, the south, the east, and the west. Let's call in earth, air, water, fire, and spirit. And let's hope that this will actually light today. I've got a smudge stick here that may not light from the candle, but we'll give it a try. Smudge and cleanse and clear the cards and get ready. Yeah, it didn't light very well. Let's see if we can get it. There we go. Cheating a little bit using a lighter. I know. All right, let's try again. There, now we've got some smoke. All right, let's hope we have few interruptions. I did go outside and talk to the guys that are doing the work outside. They've been out there for a couple of hours already. And apparently they are almost finished just outside of our bedroom windows. So very shortly, they'll be moving around the front of the building that we're currently staying in. All right. So for today, take a few moments and allow yourself to get comfortable. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then allow me to present our stones for today. And make your choice as to which one you're drawn towards. And that will be the cards that will guide some energies and bring some attention to the energies that you need to pay attention to this week. I also want to point out that this week we do have the fall equinox coming up on, I believe it's Thursday. So only a couple of days from now. So those energies will also be interacting with your energies this week. So, all right. Today we are going to be yet again presenting the fluorite point. And this one is both purple and green. So if you are drawn towards this stone, then the cards will be pulled from deck number 1 for you this week. Just going to lift the camera up ever so slightly here so I can sit up straight. All right. And number 2 is a green point. I'm not sure if you can see the green in that, but a green point. And I believe this one is adventuring. Okay. And now we have an advertisement going by on the street. Just very, very noisy being in this Mexican town that we're visiting. All right. And so for deck number 3, if you're drawn towards the crystal point this week. Okay. So make your decision if you're drawn towards deck number 1, deck number 2, or deck number 3. Okay, and without much further ado, this desk that I'm working from today is significantly smaller than my usual desk. So hopefully I won't be dropping things, but I am having to kind of squish things in together a little bit. All right, so those of you that chose the fluorite point, this is your guidance this week. And you'll notice as I go to pull the cards, there's a card that immediately stuck up from the rest of the deck. So, all right, for those of you that selected the fluorite point, the energy that is kind of going to be dominant for you this week to pay attention to, whether you view this as a positive or a negative, it's something for you to be aware of so that you can adjust your behavior accordingly. And the card that you've got this week is stress. Stress. So you'll notice in the picture on this card, and I'm hoping that that's in focus for you, you have a clown or a jester who has a lot of balls up in the air. He's trying to play music. He's trying to balance on a ball in the air. And there's a monkey about to burst his bubble, which is probably going to cause him to come crashing back down to earth. Okay. Stress. We've all had significant stress over the last couple of years. Even before that, stress was a buzzword. Everybody was stressed out. Then COVID hit, and that stressed everybody out even more. And now that COVID is kind of taking a back seat, it's not quite in your face the same way. There is still stress because our economy has changed. A lot of us, our lifestyles have changed as a result of what happened 2.5 years ago. And for many of us, change brings stress. For many of us, change is uncomfortable. It's not, for whatever reason. Let me back up just a moment. One of the things that we need to accept in life is that change is constant. Change is always going to be constant. And yet, for a lot of us, we still have not accepted change in our lives. And because of that, when change does come about, it creates stress for us, which is uncomfortable. When we can accept that change is going to be a constant in our life, it immediately brings down our stress level. Sure, we can still go back into certain routines. We can still be have our comfort zone in our home, yet change is constant. So accepting that is your message this week. I do sense that with the fall equinox, there is a changing of energies coming about over the next, I want to say, about 10 days. Normally, the readings that I do on Monday mornings are for 6 to 7 days, where I'm giving you some guidance and some advice, some counseling with regards to what energies to pay attention to over the next 6 to 7 days. Right now, what I want to say, and I think that this applies to everyone right now, not just those of you that selected the fluorite point. Remember, I said, and I've often said, that these readings are general. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. But even though you may have selected a different stone for guidance this week, some of what I'm saying right now, I believe, is going to resonate with everyone. And I really feel, as a psychic intuitive, that the next 10 days, there are going to be some fairly significant changes and shifts that are going to happen on a global scale. And I don't want you guys to stress about it. Change is constant. And sometimes, often, most of the time, change is good. Initially, it may not feel right. Initially, it may feel really bad. But once we settle into the changes, once we allow the stress to subside and pass, then there's a sense of, hey, wow, this is actually better. So for those of you that have deck number 1 this week and selected the fluorite point, I want to say, don't view this card as being a negative. View this card as being a heads up, forewarned is forearmed, that there may be some things coming at you this week that may heighten your stress level. Take a couple of deep breaths. Remember that when we are able to reground ourselves, right? In this card, you'll notice that the clown or the jester is up on a ball, trying to balance on a ball. And the monkey is about to burst that ball. The monkey has a little needle in its hand. What this is really telling us is that once that bubble bursts, that clown is going to come crashing back down to earth. And when he does, he will have the opportunity to be able to reground himself, recenter himself, and perhaps next time he won't have quite so many toys up in the air trying to, balance all of this stuff. Part of what this card's message is simplification. So simplify. And then when change does come along, it's not quite so difficult to handle. Okay, let's see what your shadow is this week. The shadow is the card on the bottom of the deck. Okay, this makes sense. So the card on the bottom of the deck this week, this is your shadow, is the maturity card. And what this is saying is that with maturity comes the ability to accept and handle and deal with stress in a better way. When we accept with maturity that change is constant, then our stress levels come down. When we realize that putting this many things up in the air for us to have to juggle all day, every day, when we accept that that's not realistic for us and that's not healthy for us, and we go from having, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 8 or 9, balls or toys in the air that we're trying to juggle all the time. When we are able to reduce that and simplify that, and maybe only have 1 or 2 balls in the air, then there is a maturity that comes about. But when we're in this state, this is hidden from us. Our maturity, our calmness, our understanding and acceptance that there's going to be stress, there's going to be all this other stuff going on, right? This becomes hidden. So this is what's hidden from you this week. This maturity, this realization that change is real, change is always going to be there. That's shadowed from you this week. So shine a light on that. Shine a light on your maturity this week. Bring it about, because that's going to help you to deal with your stress. The more mature you are able to act this week, the less stress you're going to feel and experience. Okay, so I'm going to leave that with you. And we're going to move on to those of you that selected this point. This one is green. Again, I think this one is adventuring, but I don't recall 100%. And so let's have a card for guiding those who selected this one this week. Let's see, some guiding energy for you this week. The Stag, trust and thrive. Okay. So, as I mentioned, oftentimes these cards overlap, the readings overlap, the energies overlap. And as I mentioned, I really feel that for the next 10 days, over the next 10 days, there is going to be an event or an experience that is somewhat global, that's going to affect a lot of people and create stress. And for those of you that selected deck number 2, I sense that your tolerance for change, which can bring about stress, is very high right now. You have a very high tolerance to that. And that's going to allow you to thrive. It's going to allow you to see the bigger picture. So the stag has these antlers. Whenever we see antlers in oracle cards and tarot decks and so on. They are an indication of a connection to a higher energy, a higher intelligence, right? The same way that we used to have bunny ears on the tops of our TVs. I know some of you might not remember that, but some of you will remember the bunny ears, right? The bunny ears were intended to pick up energy that's out here. And then we graduated from the bunny ears to the antennas that went up on the outsides of our houses. Some of us had those rotors to turn the antennas in order to try and pull in the signals that are out there in the ether. And essentially, that's what the antlers represent in tarot and oracle card readings. So the message for those of you that have the adventurine this week, that selected the adventurine, is for you to tap into that higher energy that's out there, to tap into that intelligence that's out there in the ether. And this is going to allow you to trust that whatever is going on out there in the global world, it's okay. Because you know in your heart and your soul, you trust in your heart and your being that you have the capacity to thrive once a lot of this starts to blow over. Okay. This card is such a positive card right now in these uncertain times that you have the ability and the capacity to be able to thrive. Okay. But in order to do so, you need to use those antlers that you have. Reach out, tap into the ether, tap into the unknown that's out there for the purposes of guiding you. That means meditating. I know I say it every single week, but meditation is so important. Being able to turn off or turn down that monkey mind is going to give you the ability to be able to tap into that ether, to tap into that energy that we all know is present around us. And that energy has had so many different names over the years. We all know there's something else out there. We all know that we don't just have 4 elements. There isn't just earth, air, water, and fire. We know that there's one more. There's a 5th. It's the ether. It's the energy. We all know that everything is energy. Physics has proven that. So this week, use those antlers. Tap into the greater energy, and you will have the ability to be able to thrive in whatever you're doing this week. Your shadow this week is the snake, which makes sense. The snake shedding your old skin. Okay. Hopefully that's coming into focus in the camera there. So this makes perfect sense. In order to be able to thrive in a changing world, you have to have trust. You have to be able to connect with that which is larger than you. You have to be able to connect with the greater community around you. You have to be able to connect with others and with the energy around you. And in so doing, you will shed your old skin. You're growing, right? That's why a snake sheds its skin, is because it's growing. So its skin no longer fits it. It needs to let go of the past. So your shadow this week is shedding old skin, which is an indication, because it's in the shadow position, it's an indication that you're holding on to the past. And when you hold on to the past, your ability to be able to thrive is stunted. It's just not possible. you can't go forward and thrive if you're stuck in the past and you're still holding on to your old skin, right? A snake, if a snake was never able to shed its old skin, it would never be able to grow and get bigger. So think about it from that viewpoint. If you are still holding on to the past, and this snake being in your shadow position this week is an indication that you are holding on to the past, but that's kind of being shaded from you. It's being hidden from you. You're not consciously aware. So part of what these readings do each week is helps you to bring into awareness that which you might be hiding from yourself. So what you're hiding from yourself this week is perhaps out of fear, perhaps from stress. What you're hiding from yourself and what you're holding on to is the past. You're holding on to something. When you start to let go of the past, when you start to shed that old skin, you'll grow. And then you'll thrive. So that's your message for this week. Those of you that selected deck number 2. We're just going to set this off to the side. And for those of you that selected the crystal point this week, let's move in and pull some cards for you. All right. Oops. We need a card, a guiding energy for this week for those that selected the crystal point. Okay, there's one card here that is, see how that card is sticking up? We're going to use that one. Infinite abundance. Abundance is pouring into your life. Infinite abundance. Abundance is pouring into your life. It's rather unique that this card comes up at this time of the year as we're going into the autumn equinox or the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere. Of course, it's the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere. But it's unique that this card came up because the picture on the card is representative of the fall harvest, which is a time of abundance. Abundance isn't just about finances. It's not just about how much money you have in the bank or how big your house is or how expensive your car is. Abundance is about friends, family, the energies that we pull into our lives. Abundance is about the experiences that we have with those friends and that family. And whether your family is blood relatives or whether your family is people that you've met along the path of your life, you have abundance just by having those people around you and supporting you. Part of abundance is having support around you, having people around you who help you along the way. And that's what this card is all about for you right now. So this card is asking you this week, over the next 7 to 10 days, to recognize and acknowledge the abundance that you have in your life, not just financial abundance, but all kinds of abundance. You know, for some people, change is abundance. They actually love and thrive on change. That is abundance for them. I'm kind of one of those people, if I'm being honest. So watch for the abundance in your life. Like I said, it's not just about the car in front of you having purchased your coffee for you in the drive-through, you know, the pay it forward. Although, you know, that's always a nice thing to happen. But practice gratitude. When you recognize and acknowledge the abundance in your life as well, practice gratitude this week. the more that we recognize and acknowledge abundance in our lives, the more abundance comes into our lives. That's part of the law of attraction, right? Where your energy goes, or where your attention goes, energy flows. I believe it's Dr. Joe Dispenza that says that. So pay attention right now. Where is your energy going? Where are you flowing your energy to? When you recognize and acknowledge the abundance, whether that abundance is a beautiful harvest, whether that abundance is a family gathering, and recognizing all of the support that you have around you from family and friends, whether that abundance is because you actually signed on the dotted line and bought your dream car, whatever it is for you, remember to acknowledge that abundance with gratitude. Let's see what your shadow is this week. Desert passage. Trust there's a divine plan. Okay. When this card comes up in the shadow position, sometimes we lose sight of the direction that we're supposed to be going. Oftentimes we lose sight of that when something negative happens to us, and then we end up in that place of stress. And so when this is hidden from us, right? This was in the shadow position of the reading today. When this is in the shadow position, it's an indication that you've kind of lost that trust, maybe lost that direction a little bit. So you feel like you're in that desert passage, both in the desert as well as in the very far north of Canada. Antarctica as well, the very south. It is very difficult to find your direction if you get lost, because there's not much out there to mark your way. That's part of what being in a desert passage is. So this being in the shadow position for you this week is an indication that you might be feeling like you've lost your way a little bit. So trusting that there's a divine plan can help you. And also, you know, when read in combination with this card, with the divine abundance, when we're not recognizing and acknowledging the abundance in our lives, when we're not practicing gratitude, we often have lost our way. We often feel like we're out in a desert. And in fact, when we don't practice gratitude for the abundance that we do have in our lives, we sometimes get shoved into a desert, right? For whatever reason, the universe works in mysterious ways. We all know that. Sometimes there's no sensible or logical explanation for why things happen the way that they do. But I can tell you from experience that when we're not practicing gratitude for the abundance we have, that universe that works in mysterious ways can often shove us out into the desert. And it's once we start to recognize and bring in that gratitude for the abundance in our lives yet again, that the desert passage disappears and all of a sudden there's green pastures out in front of us. So for those of you that have deck number 3 this week, I encourage you to practice gratitude for all of the abundance that you have, recognizing that abundance is not just about money. Abundance is about friends. Abundance is about family. Abundance is about a fantastic harvest, fall harvest. Abundance is all around us. So I'm going to leave that with all of you this week. Just a reminder, for those of you that I have encouraged to practice meditation on a regular basis, the monkey mind is that brick wall that so many of us hit. You sit down, you take your deep breath, and all of a sudden the mind goes, oh, I have to go do this. I have to go do that. Oh, there's a million things that I need to go and do and think about. I have just posted a very, very short meditation on my YouTube channel, specifically for taming the monkey mind. And it's a technique that you can use on your own. Once you've listened to the meditation over on YouTube, you're going to go, why didn't I think about that? And you can implement that technique every day in your own life. So I encourage you to go over, listen to the short meditation. I think that the meditation itself is about 8 or 9 minutes, which is a very, very short length of time in order to be able to tame the monkey mind and get into that calm space where the answers come to us. So I'm going to leave that with you there. One more thing, coming up at the end of September, I am going to be hosting an event. It will be 100% free, and it will be a teaching event, teaching others how to read the oracle cards. So watch my webpage, watch the Facebook page, and there'll be more details coming up about the event that I'm going to be hosting. And like I said, it is going to be 100% free. So thank you so much. I have a little boy who really, really wants to get to his birthday celebration. So thank you for being with me today.